can hold and it won't let go of us now.
Something here is calling us forward, upward motion. We're drops in one ocean, roll on.
Will you rise up with me today? Lift up your voice
and boldly say,
we are the ones we've been waiting for. Live the dream of your highest calling. Be the hope of a new day dawning. We're the ones who can make a difference.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Divine Feminine Peace Spa. In July, I think that we haven't seen our panelists or any of you attendees for quite a while, and it feels like it's kind of a reunion. Our last Peace Spa was in May 7th, and we were with the Sayonji family and Masami Sayonji, and we were talking at that point about the Symphony of Peace prayers and the Mount Fuji Declaration, the wonderful celebration and ceremony that had taken place in Japan just several weeks before. And so we're going to continue the discussion today, because today we'd like to speak a little bit more about prayer. What is the nature of prayer? What does prayer mean to different people in different cultures? And why is it important in our times and in our societies right now to expand the notion of what prayer really means, so that we can be of the greatest service possible to all of the challenges that are facing us because of our spiritual practice. And this is one of the greatest gifts that we have now all over the world to contribute, is our spiritual practice through prayer and through action, so that we can be, as the Native American elders say, we can be the ones we've been waiting for. So, as we often do with the Divine Feminine Peace Spa, we like everyone to begin with some moments of meditation. So we're going to show you our video and with some very nice and calming music, so that we can all relax and recover from our busy day or from the heat like we're experiencing here in California and many other places right now, and just have a moment where we all center together and feel one another and get ready for today's conversation. So I'll begin that now. Oops, just one moment. I'm sorry, I can't. Great. So now I think the first thing that I'd like to do is, for those of you who are not very familiar already with our guest today, I would like to ask my co-host, Stephen Pope, to introduce you to Masami, Yuka, and Rika Sayonji, if you would, Stephen.
And she's chairperson of the World Peace Prayer Society, the Goi Peace Foundation, and Byakko Shinkokai, which is a religious order. She is a descendant of the Ryukyu family of Okinawa, and she continues the work of her adoptive father, Masahisa Goi, who initiated a movement for world peace through the universal prayer, "May peace prevail on earth." She has authored over 20 books in Japanese and 8 in English and other languages, including The Golden Key to Happiness, You Are the Universe, Vision for the 21st Century, Think Something Wonderful, Cries of Life, and Evolving with the Universe. And I would like to recommend to Barbara that any of those titles would be great topics for upcoming Divine Feminine Peace Spas, especially You Are the Universe and Vision for the 21st Century. Sitting to her right, our left, and half cut off the screen is Yuka Sayonji Matsuura, who is deputy chairperson of Byakko Shinkokai. And this spiritual organization is dedicated to world peace. It originated in Japan over 50 years ago, teaching the divinity of all humanity. It hosts the Symphony of Peace prayers, where religious leaders and more than 10,000 people pray together. She has a degree in law from Bakushuin University in Japan and serves on the World Spirit Youth Council. And the oldest sister, sitting on Masami's, there she is, yes, is Rika Sayonji Yoshikawa. She's vice president of the World Peace Prayer Society. And Rika believes that peace in the world will begin from peace in the inner self. She is working together with her 2 sisters and her mother to create inner and outer peace.
I would like to ask Masami if she would start us off today with a blessing or an invocation that she can speak to our group, and then one of her daughters will translate the meaning in English for us, just in order to bless this space and all the people who are here today listening. And I think that would be an excellent way to begin right now. Masami?
Yes. こんにちは。皆様と初めてこうやってお手合いすることを大変に楽しみにしていました。これもすべてバーバラの優しい気持ちでみんなにシェアしてくださるというお心に改めてバーバラに感謝します。この一期一会の出会いを大切にしたいと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。
Hello, this is Masami. For those who I'm meeting for the first time, hello. And for those who have been joining us, thank you so much. And thank you to Barbara for hosting and creating such wonderful opportunity for us to get together and to be together. I'm very excited to enjoy and cherish each moment with you all today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. You know, one thing that I think I'm going to do right now is just greet by name some of the people who are with us today, just so we can get a sense and acknowledge that there are 5 of us here, but there are many more here in spirit and in the conversation, even though we can't see them right now. But maybe we'll have a conversation with them and they'll share some of their ideas with us a little later. So I'm just going to say a quick hello right down the list to Anda, Eiko, Elizabeth, Grace, Haruyuki, Jennifer, Joe, Kaori, Kaoru, Karen, Kathy, Maggie, Maria, Marjorie, Mary, Mitsuko, Naya, Reiko, Sandy, Susan, Thelma, Tsuyoshi, Yumiko, Yuzuru, and then there are 3 names in Japanese I can't read. But I would like to say hello to all of you today. We have so many wonderful women joining with us. And I hope that as you listen to our conversation, that you'll be thinking of the things that you would like to share with us in the conversation when we invite all of you to raise your hands and speak with us just a little bit. So another thing that I thought that we could look at for a moment is remembering that the Symphony of Peace Prayers in 2018 only took place just a couple of months ago, and that the purpose of Masami Sayonji and her family have spent their entire lifetimes speaking about the prayer, may peace prevail on earth. That simple prayer, which is meaningful no matter what language or what religion or what culture anyone might come from. And I would like to share with you a video that we made where we can hear that prayer spoken, that simple prayer spoken in many different languages. And I think it's very beautiful in its simplicity. And it was a wonderful experience for me because I got to speak with all these people all over the world, and they were able to share with me how to say this wonderful, simple prayer in their own language. So in a way, it's another kind of a meditation that I would like to share with you now.
Arabic في Arabic وقديس السلام إلى الأرض. May peace prevails on earth.
中文 Chinese 祝愿世界和平 May peace prevail on earth. Sorry, I hiccuped.
English, may peace prevail on earth.
Français. French. Que la paix règne sur terre. May peace prevail on earth.
Deutsch. German. Möge Friede auf Erden herrschen. May peace prevail on earth.
Hindi, धरती पर शांति कायम हो. May peace prevail on earth.
Italiano. Italian. Che la pace trionfi sulla terra. May peace prevail on earth.
Nihongo, Japanese. 世界人類が平和でありますように。May peace prevail on earth.
한국인, Korean, 지구의 평화가 가득하길. May peace prevail on earth.
Na Bercho Bezad, Na Bercho. May peace prevail on earth. What there zieldo na Hassan Bakage.
Português, português. Que a paz prevaleça na terra. May the peace prevail on earth.
Русский, Russian. Да будет на земле мир. May peace prevail on earth.
Español, Spanish, que la paz prevalezca en la tierra. May peace prevail on earth.
Kiswahili, Swahili. Amani itashinda duniani. May peace prevail on earth.
Türkçe, Turkish, dünyada barış kazansın. May peace prevail on earth.
Tiếng Việt, Vietnamese. Nguyện cầu cho hòa bình đến với trái đất này. May peace prevail on earth.
So, thank you for watching that with us, because every time I see, it makes me feel as if my heart is filled with hope, because I know that there are friends in every country all over the world that can share this simple prayer. And if that's possible, then peace on earth is possible. Even though right now sometimes we look at the circumstances that our leaders have brought, or that our news media is screaming out at us, because it wants us to believe that we don't have the power within our hearts and within our spirits to actually change the conditions that we see around us if we all collect and have a common intention and express that through prayer. And so today we wanted to talk about what is the nature of prayer, and what is our traditional understanding of prayer, but also what is our expanded, non-traditional understanding of prayer, almost as if we can be praying in every moment with every word we speak and with every act that we perform. And so right now we're going to start with a question for Masami, and it's the very simple question, what is prayer?
祈りとは、いいね。祈りとはたくさんいろいろな宗教によって違いがあります。けれども、私どもが祈っている世界人類が平和でありますようにというのは、その全人類はみんな一つであるということ。ですから、いろいろな宗教もいろいろな祈り方も、太陽の光のように、最初は白光だけど、プリズムを通す地上間に降りると赤と黄緑青藍紫と7つの色が出るようにいろんな宗教があって当然ですし、その国やその地域やその生き方によって宗教が違うのも当然です。ですからそれぞれの宗教や祈り方を尊重しながら、私たちはそれぞれを全部含めて一番ワンネスの白い光のものに向かって世界人類がみんな同じ人種でみんな自分たちの祈り、平和になるように、みんなが幸せで生きられるように、平等で生きられるようにというのが私たちの祈りです。祈りとは私はそういうものだと思う。
So I believe there are many ways of praying in this world. There are many different ways in religious and cultural differences. But what we do, like what I believe is what the prayer that we're doing is accepting all the differences towards oneness. All the prayers are beautiful as it is. Like if you could imagine the rainbow, 7 colors of the rainbow, there are different colors. But the ultimate, the color behind each color is pure, transcend white. And which is towards one. This part of the color is oneness. So I really respect all the different cultural differences and the way of praying. So because I know that each of color exists this pure, transcend white color behind it, and I do pray for the happiness and peace of all the religion and all the world. Yeah.
Wonderful. So let me ask another question. Let's talk about this a little bit. Are there different ways to pray than the ways that we've been taught if we're part of our traditional religion, of the religion of our family, when we go to church or synagogue or to the mosque or to the temple to pray? That's a certain form of prayer, but are there different ways to pray than those traditional ways that we've been taught from our childhood?
祈りとは最初は本来は本当に自分自身の子に響いてくる、自分自身の神聖から響いてくるものですけれど、でも長い間の文明発達物質文明になってそれぞれのその苦しみや悲しみやその嫉妬とか対立とか分離が芽生えてきて、その祈りのその苦しみに一人一人が耐えられなくて、いろいろな宗教に祈りにはなんか私利私欲の宗教もあれば、本当に、自分自身のが立派になりますように、自分自身を大事にするような、自分自身を磨き高め上げ立派になるように捧げる祈りもあれば、それからその何々が叶えられますようにとかっていう、そういう物質的な祈りだから、祈りにはそれぞれの祈りがあるけれども、その祈りは全て自分自身のその苦しみやその悩みや不安を投げ入れて、その宗教やそのなんていうの、宗教家が与えてくれるものとみんな長い間の固定観念で思っていますが、本来の祈りとは祈りを通して自分の神聖、その全ての苦しみや悲しみや痛みを本当に目覚めさせて、自分自身の神聖を通して、解決できる、自分自身には無限なる想像力とか無限なる知恵とか許しとか愛とかがそれを導き出す。だから本来の祈りはそうだけど、いろいろな単があっていいと思う。
So there's different ways of prayers, and I believe that the ultimate prayer is usually getting your true calling from intuitiveness. Through prayers, you can get this intuition, deep calling, deep mission for what you are supposed to do on this earth. But since many people are limiting themselves in this physical world, limiting their thoughts, limiting that one cannot do something by themselves. From this stance, people started to do prayers, asking for help, asking from ego, from greed, from the needs that they are the needs that they are not enough for them. So if they practice prayers from this place, it is not, I believe this is not the true kind of prayer. The true kind of prayer is, there is pain and difficulties in one's life, but not ask for the answer to solve the problem, solve one's pain or problem, but through praying, connecting to your divine spark, that you get intuition, you get deep calling that this is all the process and that you have the power, you have the love, you have everything you need to know to overcome this pain in your life. And this is the true prayers, I believe.
Yes, that really opens up the discussion to a place that I would like to continue. I had asked the question, and maybe I'll start by answering what I feel about this a little bit. I had asked the question, what are some of the ways that we can pray that reflect our individual identities, our magnificent multicultural traditions, and our global heart as one humanity? And many years ago, during the centennial celebration of the Parliament of the World's Religions in Chicago in 1993, I remember that one of the biggest challenges that we had was trying to decide how all the faith traditions could come together and pray together. And you would think that this would be something very easy for the leaders of different religions to do, but in fact it was very challenging. And we thought, well, we could read our prayers in our different languages, we could ring bells, we could share our music. So there were many, many different, we could dance. There were many different things that we could do, but always we would come down to the very same fundamental truth, and that is that we could be together in perfect silence for a certain period of time, and that it transcended the differences that were brought up by our language and our symbols and our different cultural norms, and that we could just reduce but also elevate to the pure nature of silence in which we could all worship and pray in our own way together. And that silence was very powerful. There's a wonderful Christian mystic named Thomas Merton who really believes that silence is the ultimate form of prayer, and he calls it contemplative prayer. And a wonderful quote by Thomas Merton is that he says, "Prayer is to religion what original research is to science." So Masami, before I go on, I wonder if I could ask you to share some thoughts a little bit.
答えが終わった。それは正しいかも。要は素晴らしい。もう本当に。
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can I just check with you the last part that you spoke about science and prayer, the silence? Can you just the last part once more?
Oh,
one person have said that.
Sure. I was speaking about Thomas Merton, and he felt that the best universal prayer was silence. But he also had a very interesting idea, and he suggested that prayer is to religion what research is to science. And for me, that means that when we pray, no matter what our religion is, we're actually practicing the experience of being with our divine idea. Let's say divine spark. When we do mudras or when we meditate or or pray in our religion, we're actually practicing what is the experience of being a spiritual person. And when we do research in science, we're actually having an experience that proves certain concepts so that they make sense in terms of what our scientific body of literature actually supports. So I thought that was kind of interesting that he makes it an experience through which we prove our faith and our spiritual dedication. And I wondered if you had some thoughts too.
それがね、今ね、本当にバーバラ、ちょうど時が来たんだと思う。彼が言ってると は本当に私は信じてるし、私はこの間ラントンに行ってお祈りをみんなでした時に、最後に宗教と科学はこれから未来、近未来に必ず一つになるって出たんです。それは本来人間が根性に生まれた時には宗教も科学も全く一つだったんです。だから一つの神聖だったんです。ところがだんだんいろいろな年数が取れて物質文明に惹かれていって、どんどんいろいろな文明が、科学が発達し、科学は今 IT とかいろいろな科学が発達すると、それを誰も抑えることができない。抑えられるのは宗教。だから昔は科学と宗教は一つで、宗教はどんどん心の祈りとか自分がさらに素晴らしく発展していこうという立派に人のために尽くそうっていうものの意識がだんだん宗教が自分の私利私欲の祈りになり、それからそういう個別的な宗教で祈り、そして宗教が曲がってしまった。それを曲がるのを変えることもいろいろな宗教が7つも8つも出てくると、それによってお互いの宗教争いが出てくる。それを本来は近未来に本当にワンネスになって、昔逸脱する人を科学が逸脱するのを止めるものは本来宗教心で一つの宗教心。それはダメだ。今本当に人類を救う、このかわいそうながんの救い人たちを本当に生き延ばして臓器移植なすと、臓器移植が全部の臓器移植になった人間は死ぬことが一人でできなくなる。その一人ができなくなると、誰が殺せるのか、死なせてくれって言っても誰も殺せない。そういう時に宗教というものはそういう宗教精神が科学者が本来一つのものだから、いやこれは一時的に命を助けてはダメなんだ。一時のものなんだ。もっと全体的に人間の命とは何か。それを定めるのが科学。だから宗教と科学は本来意味がわかる。
わかるけど、はい、どうぞ。
それ一つにすることが大事だっていうことわかる。あなた方の意識の両方難しい。
No. Barbara, so she was saying, I really think the time has come now. And like this person says about science and religion, I really truly believe that this is the truth. And in Allenton, I was just there in Allenton a few weeks ago. I had a message, a calling that saying that in the very near future, science and spirituality or religion is going to be one again. It used to be united before, but then our paths have divided because while through age, the technology evolved, the civilization evolved, science evolved, and so it became a very separate path. But it used to be one, and because we were one, religion and science had a role for each other, and the religious part was able to stop science from going to a wrong direction or to going to a wrong path that really separates us from our divine spark, divine way of thinking and living. For example, in religion, we used to have this prayer to make oneself better, to become a better human being, more clearer, to be of service. That was the role that religion has played. But then religion itself started to go into more of their egos or to their own greed and will. And they started to make humanity's heart depend on others, depend on organization, depend on higher structure. And so the pureness of that heart became a little bit twisted along the way. And then came a different sect, different organization, different religion, started to create conflict within each other. But again, I heard from the near future, all of this is going to change when science and religion will work as
one again. Again, for example, when the science develops without that religious side, without that religion, then it really becomes just a develop of technology. And so people want to create new new inventions that will let people live longer to transplant. Sorry, and like for example, transplant of different organs and all that. Then you don't allow people to die. People can't die anymore. People can't accept death anymore. And it is the power and the role of religion to really go back to who we are as humanity. Why we are kept alive? What does life mean? How do we live? We're losing that by losing our spirit of the religion. And so I really believe the importance of religion and science coming together as one. And I know that in the near future that will unite.
I'm so happy to hear you speak of this topic because, well, Stephen and I were having a discussion yesterday, and I think in terms of, I see that we can look at nature as a grand unifying opportunity for us to reconcile the difference that we perceive exists between what we call religion and what we call science or the material world. That we see that there's an intelligence in nature and there's an intelligence in sentient creatures that are not Homo sapiens, the animals that have their own sensibility, they create their own community, the plants in the forest, the herbs in the forest, they create their own ecosystem, and things that they need to grow and cast off are sometimes food and important for other parts of the ecosystem. So there's a great intelligence in nature, and the Native Americans and many of the indigenous people around the globe have always understood that there's no real reason for them to embrace religion because they see nature as the divine in everything. And when you carry that just one step further and you think about how do we reconcile, as you were told, Masami, soon in the future, that what we think about religion and science will begin to make sense as a unified field once again. It's very easy to understand how this could be possible by looking at the way that nature herself is working. So, would you like to comment further, or should we ask for some comments from our attendees today?
今バーバラが言った通りに本当に昨日そのスティーブと話し合ったこと本当に今もうすでに来てるんだ。だからインナーフューチャーだけどもあるこの世の中でもある特定な人はもうワンネスになってるっていうことが一つの現れである。今スティーブとバーバラの現れだし、今私たちがいただいていることも現れ、また別の科学者も一緒にそのスピリチュアルにが入れ込まなきゃ科学はダメだっていう唱えてる人もいるし、そういう意味で今来てるけど本当にこれから一つになるにはもう最後のディバステーション、科学を使ってもう全滅か、それから地球破滅か、それから空気、あらゆるものがもうどんどん人間がいかなるテクニカルとか強いともダメな時に初めて一つになる。でもそれは近未来にその以前に全てが滅亡する以前にそれが一つになる時がわーっとこのディバインスパークが目覚めてくる。それを目覚めさせるのは神聖。みんな自分なる神聖をその打ち出すことによって自分自身が何をすれば自分自身が決める。滅ぼしてはいけない。では何をするか。自分の欲望を捨てて何か人のため困っている人に捧げるということが神聖。その神聖がとその科学が一つになるという。現れる。本来の神聖が現れる。神聖はもともと科学と宗教が分かれてなかった。ここへ到達する。ここへ来る。それで平和な。
I wanted to add before the question, just like you said, and just like you had a conversation with Steve last night, I think this message is really coming. I said in the near future, but it's actually already arriving in each one of us, and we're all tapping into the same energy or same future or same message. So that's just a proof that you both were speaking about the same thing, exact same thing, and I was getting this message as well, and that it's actually not the near future, it's actually already emerging among scientists and people and leaders, individuals who feel this calling, this is happening, and that in order for religion and science to unite once again, we are actually facing a lot of devastation and disasters, but it's up to us that if we are able to awaken our divine spark, to live with our divine spark, who are we and what are we to do as a divine spark, as humanity, and to really decide, are we going to the path of destruction or are we here to unite? And this is each individuals to really awaken to ourselves and to really become a service. It's not that we do not want to select devastation, and these kind of awakening of humanity will hopefully, before the huge devastation or destruction, that there'll come a time of the unification of science and religion. And so the divine spark is really to connect to that and to really work with that is what prevents us from separation.
This is very important. Well, some of the people who are on our webinar today and who will be watching this recording come from our community of New Thought. And our president of Association for Global New Thought is Dr. Michael Beckwith, that many people know. And many years ago, we were in Atlanta, Georgia at Morehouse College, which has a wonderful program on international peace and nonviolence. And he was speaking to a group of mayors from around Georgia that had come to listen. And he was explaining about how spirituality and prayer has a role to play in making a better society. Even though people don't want to think about prayer and spirituality when they're planning school system and politics, and how do they build their roads, and how do they take care of racial challenges in their community, or hate crimes because religions can't get along together. Well, at a certain point, he just stopped and he said to the people in the audience, people, these headlines are just prayer requests that are waiting to be filled. And so when you were speaking about the devastation, it's not only man-made devastation, it's when we have fires or floods, or when one leader is threatening to bomb another leader, or whether we're detaining immigrants and separating from their children, or whether we're having police are causing great suffering in the racial communities because people of color are not treated with the same respect. Well, we were suggesting that when we see those terrible headlines, we see them as prayer requests from our fellow human beings in society. And that in New Thought, we feel that prayer can actually be seen as a technology. It's not just a transcendent spiritual experience. It's a technology that we can practice and cultivate through our consciousness. And depending on how we cultivate our own consciousness, we can actually practice a process that has an outcome that is responding to our inner desires and our intentions. So that's something else to think about, that each of us is a prayer or enacting prayer in our everyday lives. So maybe you could comment and then we'll ask some of our people to comment.
その通り来てるんだ。もう本当にバーバラ、またバーバラその人たち紹介してください。本当に。私はそうなんだ。だから一緒にやろう。これから大きくまた未来に向かって希望を作り出していくのが祈りだと思う。
Yes, exactly. I understand and totally agree with Mr. Michael Beckworth and his message about prayer being a request of all these. That's what that we see in the world. And also, I just want to add that I do believe it's really the hope for the future as well, the role that the prayer works. And so I really all I can say is let's work together and continue to working together.
Oh, yes, thank you. I would like to ask from the people attending today, I'm aware that you're all sitting and taking in the information, and I know many of you, and so I know that you've got some ideas to share with this group that we would very much like to hear. I wonder if anyone would like to just use the little function on your screen that allows you to raise your hand so that we could know if you want to share a comment with us. And I'm going to ask Stephen too if he has anything to share because he's been very silent. Anyone? I'm not quite sure why, but everyone gets very shy when they're on these webinars when really we're hoping to have a conversation about prayer. Stephen, did you have something to share? Yes, he has his hand. Okay.
Well, there were two things that I very strongly resonated with. And the first is just that there are many kinds of prayer, many ways of praying, many reasons to pray. And so I think we just need a lot of words, different words, because there's prayer that is just a meditation. There's prayer that is devotion, of just healing yourself and making yourself happier by looking at something beautiful. Many people say, when I pray when I go to nature, they don't mean praying, reading a text about God. They mean being made happy and made calm by just the beauty of nature. So there are so many ways of prayer, and people that don't like religion say prayer is asking God to fix your stuff or to pay you or something. That's very silly. And the most beautiful prayer, I was thinking just recently, because Barbara's niece has a tiny kitten, and how much I read something that people who have pets live longer and are happier because you adore them. And just the act of adoring is so healing and wonderful to do. So my first comment was just prayer is I often say music is a terrible word, because in the film we have the differences between animation and theater and film and stop action comics, but music, people just talk about music. I think the same thing with prayer, that we need many words for prayer. The second thing that I thought was so beautiful, when I lived in Austria, a very good friend of mine was a philosophy student and wrote a dissertation about the history of the relationship between church and science, and said that throughout all of European history, up until the 16th century, until the Renaissance, I mean, science was called natural philosophy, and so it was thought of that there was no conflict between science and religion. And the problem was, during the Renaissance, people realized that science couldn't answer religious questions and religion couldn't answer science questions. And now we're realizing both of those were wrong, that of course they have to be close together, and we have to practice religious thinking about science and scientific thinking about religion.
Thank you very much, Stephen. You got applause from the scientific family on that.
すごいわかりやすい説明で、まさみはそれを。Okay. Yeah. please.
Well, here's what we don't have too much time left, a few minutes, and I don't see any other hands going up, so I thought we would just talk a little bit more about the different ways to pray. And everyone knows about Mahatma Gandhi. That's a name that everyone in the world can relate to. And a very, very famous statement of Mahatma Gandhi was something like, "We must be the change we wish to see in the world." He wasn't saying you must tell someone else that's a leader, you must vote for the right person that's going to fix everything. He was saying we ourselves can't only talk about it, can't only think about what needs to happen that would make society better and a world that works for everyone, but we must become that change by transforming ourselves and showing up in this world as the change. And so now I would like to say that I can think of prayer in the same way, that we must become the prayer that we wish to offer to the world. We can't really pray. We can't think about prayer. We can't talk about prayer. We have to actually be that prayer. And that is my vision of a very advanced civilization that could literally bring peace on earth, is that if we were a society of people who experienced ourselves as a living, walking, breathing experience of what we call prayer. So in New Thought, I think that is something that we aspire to. And I was wondering if you had some thoughts also about that.
本当にバーバラが言ってる通りに、本当にバーバラが説明することは、本当に私が言いたいことをなんていうの、分析して分かりやすく言ってくれるから、私もそのバーバラのおっしゃった通りだと思う。その存在そのものが祈り、自分自身がずっと祈りを続けると、その言葉やその行動が自然に祈りの言葉、美しい言葉、人を励ます言葉、喜びの言葉、希望の言葉、光が与えるようなその人間になってくるから、その祈りというものは祈りを説明し、宗教を説明し、そして教えるものではなくて、自分自身が本当に私のそのやってる世界平和の祈りという、決して人に無理強いも教えもしない。ただ自分自身が変わること、自分自身の神性を表すこと、その神性というものは、この神性をどうやって生かして、神様から与えたみんな無限な愛とか無限な英知とか無限な想像力、それをどのようにして生かすか、生かして人々に教えるか、自分自身が変わっていくから、本当の祈りで自分自身を見極め、自分自身を見事に神聖なるものを発露していく、その存在そのものの人を見て、自分が言葉ではなく、その説明でもなく、その祈りを通して自分自身が変わる神聖が人々に喜びと希望を与える人間。
Okay, so Barbara, I absolutely agree with you. And all the time, whatever you say and explain, it's exactly what I'm thinking, but you say it much more clear and much more easier for people to understand. So I'm so thankful of you. And the words that you say that we must become the prayer, I absolutely agree with you. And when we pray daily, we start to show up as prayer, and we start to speak through the energy of prayer. And so we start to say beautiful words, positive messages to other people. We start to shine, and we become the prayer ourselves because of our daily practice of prayer. And so I absolutely agree with what you're saying. And also, for me as well, in our organization, religion is not about explaining people or convincing people or through words. It's not to push what you believe in, but really, like you say, to change yourself and to, like you say, be the prayer. And I also say to bring out our divine spark. It's exactly the same thing, but we have and infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite possibility. And how do we want to use all of that in order to change ourselves, to order to become that divine spark that we naturally have within us? And so it's about to be looking inside ourselves and to bring out that best of ourselves. And that's not about words, it's not about, but it's like you say, it's about the being, and through that being, the actions and so that's exactly what I was thinking about too, Barbara.
Oh, that's so lovely. You know, there was one thing that, you know, our friend Reverend Wendy Craig Purcell, who you visited in San Diego, and also she came to Japan with us in 2017. And we were speaking when I was visiting her one time, and she reminded me of something that I think is very interesting about prayer. And she said, when spiritually we are not very mature, we think that life and everything around us is happening to us. And then as we get a little more mastery in the world, we think that life and everything around us is happening for us. And then as we move on, we think it's all happening by us, that somehow it's our power that's creating everything in the world. And that actually leads to more problems than good. But then as we become more spiritually mature, we realize that the reality that we experience, our relationships with other people, the society we create, that our life is happening really through us. It's through our relationship with Divine Spark, with God, with nature, with anything transcendent that we like to think of as our source, that life is an expression that is coming through us, not to us or for us or by us. And then when we reach the ultimate state of deep spiritual unification, we experience that life is manifesting as us, that there's no separation between the expression that we call ourselves in the world and all of that which is the oneness that we are a part of. And I just thought that was very beautiful. And I was wondering if you could give us one last comment before we stop today.
本当にその通りだって、私はもう本当にバーバラは本当に私以上に多くもっと広くも物事を知ってて、いろいろなことがもう感性で分かっていて、それをまたこのリミテーション、言語に表す力が本当に十分だから、いつも感動して、いつもバーバラから教わって、この後バーバラがこう言ったって私は多くの人たちに知らせる。ですから、そうやって、そのまたウェンディの話も素晴らしいし、本当にそうだと思うし、本当にそう、当然のように私はうなずいて聞いてた。だから、そういう人たちと力強く未来に発して、ネガティブな根性ばっかり見ないで、ネガティブの希望の光を求めて、お互いに希望を1人、2人、10人、100人、1万人、1000人、大丈夫よ、希望を表していこうって言えば、その希望がこの世に現れる。でもネガティブな、もう無理よ、不安よ、全滅は地球もダメ、どうやって生きられるのって言ったら全員がそう変わって絶滅。これは最終的に地球破壊とか人類のその存在がずっといくのは人類一人一人が選択決定で決められることで、神様でもなければ宇宙神でもない、一人一人が自分自身で、想像していくことである。はい。
So, you are so intelligent, you have such full of intuition, and you're so articulate, and I just love what you say, Barbara, and every word you say, I nod with full agreement. And so I just cherish you and respect you so much. And also about what Wendy said, that was so beautiful, and Wendy's words were so true as well. And I just also want to share one last time that it's not for us to choose the negative, but through the negative see the hope. And so if we start to speak hope, if we start to act hope, from one person to 2, 10, 100,000, and then to millions, it's for us to grab hope. It's for us to choose hope and not to choose the negative perspective, the negative way of thinking, negative word, which leads us to destruction. And like Wendy's words that you say about life, how we see what is happening around us, how do we see that? How do we understand that? That is all our decision and our perspective and our understanding. And so if we don't want to lead into destruction, like you say, it's our way to see the world, how we are to see what is happening around us. And it's for us to start choosing hope through our divine spark and to realize that it's not the God that's creating this. It's not something, it's all of us. It's each one of us creating the world and what is happening around the world and through us. And so, yes, exactly. I agree in full alignment, and also to say once more that it's not to choose the negativity, but to keep choosing hope.
That is so beautiful. And we're going to wrap up right now, but I started to think, well, what is more powerful than divine spark? There's nothing more powerful than the field of love and the divine spark. And when we truly know that we are not other than divine spark, there is no negativity or problem that is more powerful than us. And all we have to do is wake up. So I want to thank you so much for being here today, and for everyone who participated. It was a very enjoyable discussion, and for everyone who's going to be watching the recording. And Masami, you're so beautiful. You look like a teenager right now. So I wanted to just say goodbye and thank you, and that we'll all be meeting here again, I think on August 6th, but we'll talk about that, but that should be the next date that we'll meet in August. So wanted to say goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Yuka. Goodbye, Masami. Goodbye, Rika.